This is Michael Popok, and you've joined me at the intersection. We're only 2 months since Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts because he tried to bribe and pay off Stormy Daniels so she wouldn't go public in 2016 about his, 10-minute sex act with her, hiding it from the American people during an election interference, hiding it from Melania because he didn't want Melania to know. And now there's new reporting that he's trying to bribe Stormy Daniels all over again. Just 2 months after he was convicted. He hasn't even been sentenced yet. He's going to be sentenced on the 26th of November by Judge Merchan. And Donald Trump and his lawyers thought it was a great idea to try to have Stormy Daniels force her to enter into a non-disclosure agreement, a non-disparagement agreement, in return for something else that Donald Trump was willing to give her. That sounds very nefarious, Popok. Tell us more. All right, well, the story actually gets more interesting as we peel away and unravel this onion. The information about Donald Trump's lawyer, Harry J. Ross in Boca Raton, Florida, trying to cut a deal with Stormy Daniels to give her a benefit in return for another non-disclosure agreement and gag order, was disclosed by an Iranian hack. The Iranians hacked Donald Trump. That hack leaked into the public about 6 months ago. It then got rediscovered by an independent journalist who brought it up on social media and then followed by Rachel Maddow. And now here we are. But now I can break it down for you. Here's what happened. You may recall, and if you don't, I'm telling you now, Stormy Daniels tried to sue Donald Trump for defamation when he used to do things like call her horseface, say he never knew her, say he never had sex with that woman, like that. And that was all untrue, as we now know. She was one of the lead witnesses against him that led to the jury convicting Donald Trump of the 34 felony counts in the catch and kill program in which she was paid $130,000 by Donald Trump through Michael Cohen in a clandestine, surreptitious path that put money in her pocket in return for her not leaking to the press in October, not creating an October surprise while Donald Trump was up against Hillary Clinton. That's what happened. She tearfully testified over several days. She was successful in telling her authentic story. The jury obviously believed her and didn't believe anything Donald Trump was to say about that. In and around after 2016 and before this past year, she sued, I think down in Florida, Donald Trump for defamation. She lost. I won't go into the details as to why she lost, but she also was on the losing end of an attorney's fee award, meaning the judge awarded attorney's fees against her and in favor of Donald Trump for several $100,000. In fact, she owed about $700,000 to Donald Trump. It's a little known side story here about that got kind of lost during the conviction of Donald Trump. She's had to pay the money. It went to judgment. She didn't pay the money on time. They were running around down in Florida trying to enforce a $700,000 judgment against Stormy Daniels, who makes her living, frankly, writing books and doing some exotic dancing and things like that, and guest appearances. So she made an offer through her lawyer to Trump's lawyer to get a little bit of a discount on the amount she owed Donald Trump. I think through her GoFundMe page, she had raised about $600,000, so she offered $600,000. And in return, Harry Ross, this lawyer down in Florida who I don't know, made a proposal on behalf of Donald Trump. Sure, we'll take $100,000 less than you owe us. You sign this non-disclosure agreement and gag yourself and don't talk about what happened to you and don't come up against Donald Trump anymore. In other words, election interference, 2024, all over again. Right? He hasn't even been sentenced yet. Could this be a factor in his sentencing? Sure. I think the Manhattan DA, in order to bolster the credibility of a very successful Stormy Daniels during her testimony in their sentencing memo, updated now, should say Donald Trump corroborated and validated and gave credibility and legitimacy to the star witness, Stormy Daniels, because he's trying to make her stop again. If she wasn't telling the truth, he wouldn't worry about it, right? And I think this also hurts him on a future appeal when he tries to attack Stormy Daniels. Like, well, if she wasn't hurting you and she wasn't telling the truth, why are you again trying to gag her? What idiot in the Trump world made the decision, and I know the answer to this, it's rhetorical, to try to gag Stormy Daniels again with a payoff during an election cycle? I mean, bad look for sentencing, which hasn't happened yet. Bad look for Donald Trump's future appeal, which hasn't happened yet. And credit goes to a very courageous Stormy Daniels, who said, I'd rather not. I'm not going to stop talking about my authentic truth of what happened to me, what you did to me, how you've attacked me, and how you've lied to me. I've written books about it. I've been on tours about it, and I testified about it. And no, I'm not going to let you take away my voice and my First Amendment right. She just went back to GoFundMe and got another $300,000 or $400,000, over $1 million, and paid off her judgment in full. In fact, the judgment has been satisfied. It's been filed on the books down in Florida. And no, thank you. Give her a lot of credit, a lot of strength of character there by Stormy Daniels to say no. Now, the interesting part of this that I hadn't learned until recently, and the New York Times did a good piece on it, is that this was also the subject of the Iranian hack. So far, I've heard two amazing things that the Iranians did. Talk about being close followers of our political process. When they hacked Donald Trump, they were very specific about what they stole. They were like thieves that break into the jewelry store and know exactly the diamonds and the watches to grab, or in the department store and they know exactly the Chanel bag and the Cartier whatever. They ignore the rest of the brands. They knew what to hack, so they hacked J.D. Vance, the white paper dossier about the background investigation of J.D. Vance that they did to allegedly vet J.D. Vance before they selected him as a vice presidential candidate. You know, all the times that he said Donald Trump was America's Hitler, needle in the arm of America, and a drug, a dope, an idiot he would never support, all in that dossier. They leaked that to embarrass the Trump campaign, and they leaked everything about Stormy Daniels and put it in. But it kind of made a slow path through corporate media and didn't get picked up until a freelance journalist found it again, then corroborated it, and it's up and running. And they had multiple versions of this non-disclosure agreement that Harry Ross prepared. The answer to my question earlier, which was not rhetorical, is this is Donald Trump making his own decisions. I think it's a good idea to get her, he can barely put a sentence together at this point. Another NDA, the gag order. I don't need her horse face talking about me again. I got another campaign, like that. That was my artist rendering. I just can't believe the headline. 2 months after conviction and 1 month before sentencing, Donald Trump does it all over again with another brand of election interference involving Stormy Daniels. It's just I can't even get it out. But I did because I wanted to. It's important, when Donald Trump does things to try to pull the wool over the Americans' eyes and tries to basically conduct his own October surprise on himself and shoot himself in the head instead of the foot. Sorry about that. Too soon. I got to call it out. And shout out to Harry Ross down in Florida. Was that your idea to have that happen? And the only response from Stephen Chung, the eponymous speechwriter. No, what is he? He's a spokesperson for Donald Trump, who I believe is created by artificial intelligence. I've seen his photo. Go look it up. Stephen Chung. Tell me that guy's not AI. Does he really exist? Has anybody seen him actually with pants on, standing at a podium anywhere? Or is it just always, these statements? So he said, this was the result of, they just focused on the Iranian hack. This is information that the Iranians hacked. We're working with officials to get to the bottom of it. How about the actual core information, Stephen? How about that? How about the fact that your guy, before he sentenced, thought it was a good idea to get, and why would they ever think, by the way, anybody that's just watched her being interviewed, or Netflix or whoever just did the documentary about her, who watching that would think that Stormy Daniels she'd rather pull out her eye teeth with a set of pliers, right? Or take, what is it called? Root canal without Novocaine, climb Mount Everest without oxygen, then give in and give up to Donald Trump and be gagged. She's spent a considerable amount of time reclaiming her dignity, including going through a very grueling process to both get prepared, testify, and then be pilloried in the press or in right-wing media about her testimony. And so now, having suffered the consequences, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, she's now going to go, to save $100,000, I'm happy to. Where do I sign? We're beyond that, Donald. You might have been willing to and able to pay off women back in the day for $130,000 a piece. That would seem to be the going rate for the catch and kill program at the heart of that prosecution, right? Run with David Pecker, nobody more aptly named in the history of crimes than in particular crimes than David Pecker, who was the publisher of the editor of the National Enquirer, with Michael Cohen, then insider consigliere for Donald Trump, and other money men that worked inside of the Trump organization to pay off, Karen McDougal, former playmate, who had a slightly longer sexual relationship apparently with Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels, and a dozen other women in a catch and kill program where the National Enquirer would knock on their door, offer them money in return for their story, and then make it exclusive and sign them to an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and a gag order, and then bury the story. That's the catch and the kill. And the jury heard weeks and weeks of testimony in New York, 12 people on that jury, and came back 12-0. Donald Trump is guilty, 34 counts of felony business record fraud, including election interference related to the Stormy Daniels payoff. So it's just mind-boggling to me that I have to do this hot take, but I got to do this hot take. And you're here, Legal AF, the new channel. And you can find it at Legal AF MTN for Midas Touch Network. Thanks for being here. I'm the chief curator, if you will, at the intersection of law and politics. Find out what 50 million people a month already know. That Legal AF is the home of law and politics commentary and analysis like no other. And take a minute. Early voting has started. Hit the subscribe button, that little oval blue button. Subscribe. Have other friends hit subscribe. We're going to hit 300,000 before the election at this rate, all because of you. We already have 11 million views on this channel, and it's only 32 days old. And that's a testament to you, and I really thank you for that. So until my next content on the Midas Touch Network or on Legal AF or Legal AF Podcast, I'm Michael Popok, and I'm recording. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.